Hall Effect N64 control sticks? Sign me up. I am pleased to share with you all today the latest offering from Retrobit, the newly announced Hall Effect N64 control stick for your original N64 controllers. And yes, that is what you are seeing here in my hand. Retrobit has been kind enough to send me out a near final production sample to give it a go and share more of the info about what you can expect from it for all of you. So, have it here in my Smoke Black N64 controller. And yeah, this has been a really fun one. I cannot wait for you to see more specifics about it. But before we do that, let's talk about why such a project is necessary in the first place with original N64 controllers. So the entire housing, gears, bowl of the N64 control stick are all made out of plastic, and as you use the controllers, the stick itself will grind away at the bowl underneath it, resulting in a loose stick. Or the gears themselves, the parts that hold the stick in place, will begin to warp and bend and degrade over time, resulting in very loose sticks. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a loose stick N64 controller on hand. This is actually a really good analog stick. It's still in pretty decent shape. But I avoid using this controller because it will start to degrade and break, and I like having a really nice stick on hand for benchmarking purposes and things like that. But that is why replacement sticks such as this GameCube style one here, this is a square-gated N64 style GameCube analog stick, not a very good one, but it's why things like this have become quite frequent on the market. And of course, there are some really awesome aftermarket original style ones you could get if you're willing to pay a bit more of a premium. But that is one of the reasons why this stick in particular is actually pretty exciting to me. It's very low cost and provides very good results that almost all of the N64 fans out there will be able to enjoy. Now, that being said, speedrunners or anyone that requires like perfect gating on their controller, this probably won't be the one for you. But let's go ahead and dive in and show off more of the specifics. Now, before we dive into the benchmarking and game demos, I wanted to take a look at the stick itself. As you can see, it is an oversized GameCube style stick, very reminiscent of the Tribute 64s Retrobit puts out into market. So, more of an octagonal gating. Comes up from the controller pretty high, and it just feels very comfortable overall. It's got good rotation. And again, it uses a Hall Effect sensor, so you don't have to worry about it degrading. Now, installation is also very simple. All you have to do is take out the 9 screws here on the back of the controller, so you can see 3 on each side, 1 in the middle, and then 2 inside the expansion port. And then once that's done, there are 3 more screws holding the stick housing in place. So the entire install process is very simple, and you may recognize some background stuff if you look at the included manual. But on to the initial benchmarks themselves. This is where things are going to be very important. So again, this is using an octagonal gating, so it's not going to match 1-to-1 with N64 gating. And honestly, that is fine for me. It's to be expected. But what it does result in is that you are going to have values that exceed the traditional N64 81, 85-ish range here. And this stick will go up to a value of about 95 on each absolute axis. So it is going to be slightly more sensitive than original OEM sticks, but not deal-breakingly so. And since the values are kept under 100, this means that no games should be broken with it. And in my test of hundreds of N64 games, that has been the case. But what is important to note about this stick is that it does give you the proper diagonal values, so you aren't going to experience cutouts in the few games where that is going to be an issue, like Goldeneye 007. You are going to get the proper diagonals as you play through that game. Stepping values likewise are also very well represented. There's very fine precision control that you can get out of this stick, which is awesome. One of the things I love most about Hall Effect sticks. Now, while benchmarking can give us some pretty baseline expectations of what to expect, it just never gives the full picture that you can see in games. So again, I want to point out the fine control that you can get out of this analog stick because of its Hall Effect sensors and minuscule dead zone. Like, you can get some really fine aiming adjustments here. And I'm not quite sure how to hold this right for the camera at the moment, but you can see that you could get some really good fine aim going on here. And that is really important, especially for the N64 shooters, because that's one of the problems with other GameCube style analog sticks. They have pretty big dead zones, and so your aim is just fluctuating all over the place, makes it really hard to get any precision aiming going, and that is just not going to be a problem on this stick. And now, just to showcase once again that those diagonals are working as expected, we can get all of our relative movements in here. There we go. And finally, of course, there we go. So no problems to be had with any of the range of motion featured in Goldeneye. Now again, because the values are higher than an OEM stick, you are going to have very fast absolute axis movement compared to an OEM stick. But again, not really deal breaking in any game because of the precision the stick actually gives you. Now, as for dead zones and steppings, I want to give another demonstration of these real quick using Super Mario 64. So, poor quality analog stick replacements have very bad stepping values. You can't do the minute movements that Mario is capable of in Mario 64, as well as his movement build-up range, and that is just not a problem on this Retrobit Hall Effect replacement stick. You get every single movement value and range available. And as for dead zones, for anyone familiar with OEM sticks, you know that you can spin Mario around in very nice, neat circles without any movement whatsoever, and that is pretty replicable on this Hall Effect stick. But as you can see, you could get remarkably similar results. Not quite one-to-one, of course, just again because of the change in technologies and the way it's done, but there is very minuscule dead zone on this stick, and it is absolutely fantastic. It really, again, leads to a lot of precision, especially in the shooters. And then, of course, the quick back and forth movements are very trivial. And of course, you are capable of pulling off spin attacks in Zelda, though I still suck at doing them. So just to reiterate, this is going to be an excellent replacement control stick for a great many of you N64 players out there. Again, the ranges aren't going to match one-to-one with OEM sticks, but for the vast majority of people, that should not be an issue. The extra ranges do give more sensitivity to some titles, not deal-breakingly so, and the stick itself being Hall Effect and having great precision helps overcome that. So unless you need perfect gating or precise values for speedruns or anything like that, this is going to be an excellent stick replacement for a worn-down N64 controller. Now, in the spirit of transparency, this is a near final production sample, like I said, so I've provided some feedback to Retrobit on a couple of things I'd like to see improved for the final retail sample. And pretty much the only thing that I can really critique about the stick in its current form is that the diagonals don't actually match up to the physical gating of the controller on a couple of the values. So for those of you that may have noticed in Goldeneye, I couldn't activate the diagonal turns as smoothly as I would have wished. But They are capable, it's just it needs to be moved a little bit further down the stick itself. So I'm hoping to see that fixed in the final retail production. But aside from that, everything is working as expected and basically as the benchmarks show us it will. It's, again, going to be a very fantastic low-cost replacement stick that will give original N64 controller fans a great experience. So again, the Retrobit Hall Effect N64 replacement stick is available for pre-order now through Rondo Products. You can try out the discount code Archades to see if you could get a little bit of a discount on that one as well. But links to this will be in the description below, and more retailers might be added along the pre-order period. We'll have to see. But again, it is a really good Hall Effect stick replacement for your N64 controllers. It's very low cost at $15, gives good performance, and again, will just be really good for most N64 players out there. Again, if you need the precise gating for speedrun tricks and values, this won't be the one for you, but for the rest of us, this is pretty top-notch, and I'm really happy to see it. Now, again, I'm hoping that the final production sample will have the diagonals line up correctly, so we can not have to worry about moving it along the range a little bit to get the precise movement we're looking for, but the movement is here. That's the important thing. The diagonal movements are here. They just don't quite line up yet. But fantastic stick. Can't wait to see the final production sample. Check it out. It is definitely a good one. And thank you again to Retrobit for sending this one out my way to check out and share with you all. So thank you all so much for watching. Hope you have found this informative. If you have any questions or concerns or anything you'd like to see done with this stick, let me know in the comments below. I can definitely post a few more shorts about it, but the overall results are this thing is going to work on every N64 game. It's going to work really well, and you're not going to experience any loss of movement or other negatives with it, really. Great dead zones, great diagonals, little bit more sensitive on the absolute axis, but again, nothing deal-breaking, and then the precision that the stick provides is just top-notch. So, thank you again for watching. We'll see you all back next video.